A very good evening, dear audience and my respected speakers. STEM, a much needed topic of 21st century, not only for discussion, rather applications and implementation is very important. The Great Mentors is organizing a series of discussion on each and every topic in detail, which will continue up to 10 series. At the end of every session, we will be having question answer sessions to clear their doubts, or you can also give your inputs. On behalf of the Great Mentors, me, Sushil Sinha, warmly welcome our panel members, Ms. Nisha Shailendra Kulkarni ma'am, founder Oceana Seer Group, Ms. Kajal Chatija ma'am, founder Edu Drone, and Ms. Ritu Kapoor ma'am, principal Lokmanya Tilak International School, Navi Mumbai. We heartily thankful to each and every member of for their efforts and preparation for this session series. Thank a lot to each and every member for being here. First question we are starting with Nisha ma'am. Ma'am, what is STEM education exactly, and what is the need for STEM education?
Thank you very much, Sushil ji, for organizing this talk series. So if we talk about STEM, so let's start. I think there's no doubt that science and technology play a major role in sustaining our 21st century lifestyle, but the educational system has not always emphasized this fact, what I think. So in recent years, an educational movement has arisen that aims to introduce young students to the various aspects of STEM education. Everybody has heard about the robotics lab, STEM lab, Atal Tinkering Labs, ATL labs in India. These are very common names in schools nowadays. But there are many schools and educators who still struggle to understand the meaning, purpose, and implementation of STEM education. The Indian edtech market is booming with coding courses. We must have seen so many ads on our televisions, and many private players are selling STEM or robotic kits. So what is the need of such a boom? These are some questions to think. Or how schools which cater the low to middle socioeconomic students can impart STEM education. So let us start first with the meaning of STEM. As it is the acronym for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So it is an interdisciplinary approach to teaching science, technology, engineering, and maths. It is a kind of instruction that integrates key concepts between two or more STEM disciplines as students apply the practices of science and engineering to real-world problems. So what are the key words over here, which I just told you? Interdisciplinary approach and applying the concept to real world problems. So STEM emphasizes on conceptual knowledge instead of factual knowledge. So we as a STEM educators, and STEM education is basically work on the principles of conceptual learning model. So it finds its base in constructivist approach to learning and follows conceptual based model, which believes in the principles of synergistic thinking, which we always known as critical thinking, the transfer of knowledge, which is the application part, and the socially constructed meaning making, which is the collaboration. Collaboration between the peers and the communities and a globe as a whole. This is all about STEM education. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for your explanation. Our next question is going to Kajal, ma'am. What does STEM mean to the education process and culture of a school for students and educators? Ma'am, please. You are on mute, ma'am. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this question, and good evening to one and all. And a very thought-provoking question you have asked, and where we all educators are really getting overwhelmed by the concept STEM. And as very rightly, figured it out, you can say, like Nisha madam has explained it so well. So further from there, taking it ahead, and we have been seeing that so many schools, they are jumping to this concept, integrating science, technology, engineering, and maths concept. How as Nisha madam has rightly, said, through 21st century skills, we are trying to infuse in our school curriculum. And yes, with the help of a lot of peer communication, like it is, in a way you can consider it as if a design thinking project. I'll just give you one example. I love to give live examples so that whosoever is listening to us can relate. For example, if in a year we educators give some problem which is there in the school, and we give this a common problem, maybe it could be electricity, maybe it could be water, it could be any problem which is there in the school, and then that one problem we give to each and every class, we make groups and we tell them to solve using design thinking concept. So again, I'll give you how it is planned. We tell our children to plan, we give them different roles. For example, one is going to do the research, so we have our R&D team in place. We have one team to check, if for example, if we are figuring out the electricity problem, that there are a lot of power cuts, then if the mission is save electricity, and if the mission is getting electricity using green, using composting, a lot many other things, if we give this design thinking project to our children, I am very sure they are going to amaze us. They are going to give, like, and why I'm saying this, we have done this, and this was a gift on the Founders Day, where our children figured out, and they worked on electricity. And I was in Trinity International School, where we used to get high electricity bill. So our children, 2 months long activity it was, they checked each and every classroom, how much electricity is used, how many lights, fans are in use, and when there is no one, which class is vigilant enough to switch off. And then they came up with, they divided. There was one creative team, there was one R&D team, there was one team who will talk to government and bring government officials and tell them, explain them the voltmeter, how much in a day, how much electricity is utilized, and how we can reduce the meter. This all was done by the children. And by the way, there was no, you can say, professional involved in it. No STEM educator was there. It was done with the help of teachers, government officials, and only the planning was done with the help of, as we always say, that we teachers, we have to change the role of being the facilitator and only guiding them by giving them steps. So there we follow design thinking. As we all know, like we plan, we create the plan, and then we always involve ourselves prototype, whether it is happening or not. And then even being little emotional, like we have those emotional connects with the children. If it is not happening, then again going to redesigning and checking it whether it's happening or not. But now these days, this was done in 2019, but after 2020, this iconic year, and where this NEP was launched, so much I must salute to each and every educator, and the way we have gone through and the way we are learning each day. We've been telling that we are in 21st century, but we realized in 2020 year that yes, we are in 21st century. And that's how now this STEM concept is almost, I can see, like it's more than 60% of schools are applying. And even being very honest, I am not from that field. I am from literature, social studies. I've done my MA in English. So I am being a leader, you have to lead, you have to guide your students, you have to be a motivator, inspirational aspect, and give guidance, and bring your maths, science teachers, IT teachers to bring these concepts live in the education system. So we must be careful while applying this concept and how it envisioned. We just have to be with our team, and as per the district norms and as per the, you can say, like, it's not possible for every school to have a proper STEM lab. But later I will be telling you, I'll give you example how a STEM lab was made in a school and how it looked with regular resources available in and around, which I will come later.
Great, ma'am. Ma'am, always believe in practical behavior learning. It's the best part. Next question
Yes.
is going for Ritu, ma'am. Science and math have been a part of the education system for generations. So how is STEM education different from the traditional kind?
First of all, I'll thank you, sir, and it's a privilege. I'm honored that I'm part of this discussion series. You know, there is so much to share and to learn, and each and every moment we have been doing that, the time we have spent together. So, you know, when we talk about education, yes, of course, sir, education is being evolved since long, you know, and it's been over a course of time that there has been a change being done. So when we are talking about change, I feel that change is the only constant. Otherwise, if we talk about, yes, and today we can very confidently say that learning is not only confined to classrooms and books. It is beyond that. You know what Nisha ma'am have said about the STEM system, about the STEM concepts in our education. Yes, it is so very true. And Kajal ma'am, you know, your practical example, what it is, what STEM says, because when we are talking about the traditional approach, it's about imbibing knowledge in the children. It's about, you know, instilling some learning theories in the child's brain, to say, where they are to accept what is given. But when we are talking about STEM, it is about real life application of these. You know, a very, very simple example about when we are talking about maths, science, engineering, technology evolved in this. I'll say in all the classes from class 7th, 8th onwards, they are learning about quadratic equations. In class 8, they have quadratic equations and all. But the child only knows about this equation and how they have to solve. Okay, but the importance of quadratic equation in making of homes, or for a company to take when they are calculating profits, it is not there. They will never come to know, because we are, you know, engaging our children only in theoretical knowledge and understanding. So, as you know, Kajal ma'am, you have given a very simple example of electricity problem. So these things which are there in our syllabus, to say those topics can also be taken up, and STEM is nothing but all related to it, because, you know, science is everywhere. It is part of our life, to say. And we are developing in terms of technology, and especially now when we talk about pandemic, it has really brought a change. So traditional approach was knowledge, and when I talk about STEM, it is about implementation of these concepts to real life situation. You know, when we talk about traditional approach, it was all about replication. The theory is given and the children are learning that and producing it. But, you know, there is a clear definition of this is right and this is wrong. But when we are talking about STEM, it is out of box learning. It is out of box thinking. It's about creativity. And that is what is needed. So when we are talking about the traditional approach, there is no scope of anything other than what is given in the books, what is defined. But in case of STEM, there is nothing called as this is wrong. No, it is about what creativity or how they have linked it to the acronyms of science, technology, engineering, and maths. So because, these things are a part of our lives. We just can't keep ourselves away from this. Existence is not possible without it. It is just that we need to bring a change in our system. And Nisha ma'am, when you were saying about the Atal labs, about STEM labs, about coding, yes, it's there, but the concept of this is not clear to most of us, I'll say. And during this pandemic time, I'll say that the business of coding, artificial intelligence, it's flourishing. Children of a very small age, for them also this program is there, this course is there. So that is really, we need to bring a change in ourselves, in our thinking. It should not be just that, okay, fine, we will put our child in this course to keep the child engaged. No, we have to actually understand that what is its real life implication, how it is going to help the students, the children. So that is really, and when we are talking about creativity building, it is the pillar of STEM. It's a strong pillar of STEM, and that is what is needed. We cannot restrict the child's thinking to a particular mode only. And believe me, it is said that Indian brains are the best brains. But why this brain drain is happening? It's all because our the toppers, they are not getting what they should get. That is hands-on experience. And that's why CBSE is bringing experiential learning into its regular thing, And as ma'am was telling about interdisciplinary connections, yes, it is. Like say, just recently we had a project, we had given the children to prepare a game, because we have seen children, now because of this online classrooms, they are connected and they are into games and all gaming. So we thought that why now make technology a villain, let it be a friend. So we have given them a project for class 9 to prepare, to design a game. So it was related to math, because nothing can be done without math. It was related to technology. It was related to science. But yes, it was also related to English, that we had told them that you have to market your product. So you have to plan. So it is having connection with other subjects also. It is not a separate this thing that, okay, if we are doing STEM, so it is nothing to do with other subjects. No, it is. So it's very, very important to have a clear understanding, and we need to understand the importance of this to create a global citizenship in our country for our children. So if we want our children, we want our students to be global citizens, it is very, very important. And one more thing I want to add, it's when we are talking about our traditional approach, it is all based on lecture method. Chalk, duster, book, teacher in the classroom. But when we are talking about STEM, approach. It is about interaction. It is not about learning in the classroom. It can happen anywhere. So that is extremely important. And, you know, it's not confined to a particular area, a particular topic. No, it is related to everything. So that's what I want to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Well explained. Our next question goes to Kajal, ma'am. What does a STEM classroom look like? Kajal, ma'am.
Yeah, I get overwhelmed when I listen to great leaders and I forget to unmute. It happens.
Okay, okay. Should I repeat again question?
So, you know, as I was, no, I got it. How does a classroom look like,
Yes,
right?
yes,
The STEM classroom looks like.
yes.
And even I will also touch upon and how does, before making the STEM, we really need to infuse the STEM culture in our entire pedagogy itself. And before even going for making the STEM lab, it's very important to give complete training to the school staff. It's very important, and have proper in charges. And see, to have a STEM lab, as I was telling you, I'll tell you how it looks, and it can be made with the help of regular resources. I'll again give you an example. For example, lower grade students, floating, sinking, these are the concepts which they always have, right? They have, and then just think about it. If we create that's called a prepared environment, teacher has to prepare it. Just having a little a basket or a bucket, and we fill with water, and we have different materials. We have plastic, we have metal, we have eggs, we have every little thing which we can check whether this material is sinking or it is floating. It could be a plastic ball, it could be a toy, it could be their pencil, eraser, whatever is theirs, like whichever is available, they can record it. They can, this is again science, and I'm linking it, right? This is all about linking the subjects which are there. And think about it, the students who belong to foundational years, they are recording. Okay, it is sinking, okay, it is sinking, they'll tick. It is floating, they'll tick. So in a way, the recording sheet will be there. They'll learn to record their findings. This is one example. Friction, if I talk about friction, if I prepare a surface and I move, I have different types of surfaces. I move the car, right? There I can get to know there is a watery surface, there is a zigzag surface, there is, I have dropped the oil over it. Can I do these concepts with available resources? And even now talking about having simple wires and batteries, again, and now I've shifted a little upwards. I'm talking about grade 3, 4, and 5, where they can check it themselves, which is the negative and positive, side of the battery, and how the bulb is blowing, and how we can make a LED light. Can we move forward with small and making a little I have Nisha ma'am over here, ladybug, and all these little experiments which can be done with the help of simple available resources. Can you envision a STEM lab having a proper just 10 experiments, just an experiment infusing science, technology, engineering, and math concepts? Yes or no? Can you envision? And think about it, if we take our students in such labs with prepared environment, first having these, and now I'm coming to the pedagogical aspects, how we have to include in our lesson plan. Having 5 E's, we all as educators, we are aware: engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. Having these 5 E's in place, and following design method, deeper thinking processes, project-based approach. So before expanding it, elaborate STEM lab without even knowing, let's take a smaller step by having these at least 10 small projects, level wise, of course, and linking to their subjects. We are all set. And then once that is successful, then we can involve a proper professional STEM, Atal Tinkering Lab is one which is available. We can apply for it. There are so many government associations which are giving it for free. So many things which are there, which we as educators, we don't know that we are going to get the fund. Atal Tinkering Lab actually, it funds the school, and the entire lab is made. I have seen it. The entire lab is funded. Fulfill that, you just need one professional to take you through. And this is how we can envision a simple STEM lab. And then we have STEAM, then we have STREAM. Like when we say STEAM, like their art is integrated. When we have STREAM, that are, so this is how then these are the bigger aspects. But to start with, for STEM, what I can so yes, so from where I started by having our own STEM lab, integrating the existing teachers who are not trained, but we can infuse the small concepts, having these small experiments to start with. See, STEM is all about bringing enthusiasm. We have to arouse that curiosity of making, of invention. Like, yes, this is my invention. Like, if just think about it, a small child coming up with LED light and explaining, with the help of that, we're explaining the traffic rules. So there is a lot of subject integration which happens through STEM. So there's a lot of hands-on learning. Yes, we are creating a sense of innovation, a sense of success. So through these, and now step 2, as I told about Atal Tinkering Lab, before even making it, our teachers, like leaders, should be open. She should have that open-mindedness to visit some schools, those who already have the STEM lab, and taking the feedbacks and reviews, how are they doing it, and even by observing some live classes, and then taking the decision through which way we have to do it. Because see, these are you can say very, very critical decisions which we as leaders, we have to take when we go ahead with proper professionals. And yes, for this particular segment, we need professionals, we need guidance. So over there, we should involve either government. Through government, we'll get Atal Tinkering. If we go ahead with private organizations who are running proper STEM curriculum, so through that, we can bring these concepts in our school. And this particular segment, I must say, it's need of the hour, and we can't say no to STEM. And STEM is actually, it was like yesterday, today is STEAM and STREAM. I am very sure that in the few coming sessions in future, you are going to cover those segments as well. So there are a few other, PBL and Montessori method. They use STEM right from nursery, and even Reggio Emilia classrooms. So we can search on Google and we can just check how are they doing it. So spending time in observation, spending time in research will give us all the answers to our questions, and it will surely envision our future STEM lab in our classrooms, infusing in our lesson plans, having trained staff.
Great, ma'am.
Yes, over to Sushil, sir.
So great. Our next question goes to Nisha, ma'am. Ma'am, at what school age STEM education should be implemented?
I think both the leaders have given all the answers. And I'm here, I'm just thinking that I should listen. And there are so many takeaways. Thank you very much. And as Kajal ma'am already explained that from the nursery, there are so many methods which can we use to infuse the STEM curriculum and STEM education in the regular education. So I think all children are naturally curious. From the time they are babies and exploring their environment through their senses, like touching things and putting things in their mouth. For example, children want to know how things work. As they grow a little older, they consistently tell or ask why, as they want to know why things work the way they do. This desire to learn contributes to their development in a significant way. Traditional schooling, if we talk about, may dampen the natural curiosity that children exhibit. Ma'am has already elaborated traditional schooling too and traditional educational methods. But it is always, we should think about the traditional ways and the modern ways. The comparison should be there to understand it in a better way. So we ask students to, conform to reading quietly and completing tasks that primarily employ pencil and paper, demonstration of, rote learning. So if we consider the development level of children and corresponding learning theories and models, we know that sitting quietly, doing pencil and paper work is not the most effective mode of learning. Everybody, I think, will agree with that. Every educator in the world will agree with that. What makes STEM teaching and learning so very exciting is that it engages students' curiosity to the posing and solving the real world and authentic problems. And the authentic problems, when I talk about, then as Kajal ma'am elaborated on project-based learning, inquiry-based learning, PBL, PJBL, all these comes into picture. So we talk about critical thinking skills. All educators talk about critical thinking skills. So do we ask ourselves, when does critical thinking begin? When a child starts thinking critically? So the answer is at an early age, Yes, children's early learning experience often include trial and error. As ma'am said, at the LED light bulb example ma'am just said, gave. So, they wonder how tall they can build a tower of blocks. You must have seen in the kindergarten the tower of blocks they make. And how they try it out. How can we make it stable? How long it can go? And how many these blocks we can stack in? So one more example can be, they wonder how much water a balloon can hold, and they try it out. They wonder which ball will roll farther or faster. They try it out. So children are naturally curious, and they want to know why things are the way they are and how things work. But unfortunately, when children begin school, sorry to say, teachers often do not take the advantage of that natural curiosity. They continue to develop thinking skill in students. Instead, we ask students to sit quietly and learn what we tell them. Often in a rote fashion, we ask them to learn process and facts, but we do not adequately inspire children to return to asking the main why. The why is important in STEM. Why? Everything, we have to inspire every child to ask the why behind everything. So the STEM should be taught at early years, right? Starting from the beginning of kindergarten years, as I give you few examples, and Kajal ma'am has also given few examples for the kindergarten. So I think that is the best age to tell them why about the things. And even if you think that at that age the children is not able to understand the why part, we can ask, see which is the shorter one, which is the longer one, maybe there are two sticks. We can infuse these questions into their mind. So that is the age when we can relate the subjects of STEM at early age, I think.
So
Yes,
in a
Susie.
way, Nisha ma'am, I'll just culminate. Our
Yeah.
kids, all children, as Children's Day is coming, they all are born scientists.
Yes. So it is actually more about scientific thinking. how you infuse that scientific thinking into child's mind, how you imbibe how scientists think from the very early age. How can you imbibe that thinking into a child? So it is that starts from very early age, which is kindergarten.
Great, ma'am. Same question for next question again for you. What is the role of STEM education at elementary and middle school age?
Yeah. So, ma'am, Ritu ma'am has given us example of 9th and 10th graders. Ma'am has given so many examples for elementary, like 3 to 5. So, I think the greatest role of STEM is that it fosters the love for learning, which is the base for any kind of education. There should be love for learning, instilling that passion and drive to learn at its most crucial stage during the elementary years. As I said before, elementary children often have a wonderful sense of curiosity and inquisitiveness that naturally leads them into exploring and learning. So it is during the elementary year that this is the often sadly lost because of teachers maybe or parents, because we do not push them to ask questions. We do not push them push their curiosity, and we do not tell them how to develop their thinking skills. The greatest gift we can give students during the elementary years is driving their curiosity, a belief in their abilities, a thrust of knowledge, and a passion to grow. I think these are the important things at elementary stage which STEM education can do. So with these skills in their toolbox, they will be equipped to tackle the challenge of higher education and the real world. And no matter, it doesn't matter where their life journey takes them, they have those tools to overcome the challenges. So I believe the ultimate goal of STEM education is to encourage students to take an interest in in STEM subjects in early years. So that is important. So at an early year, if we are able to create an interest, then they can pursue these subjects at higher levels or at college levels. So if we talk about the data, recently I was going through India's STEM participation. So in the whole world, girls are at the has the highest number in STEM degrees in India. So how we have even not America. So how we are achieving it? So we are achieving right now. We are achieving it like there is a a hype of engineering subjects that everybody wants to be engineer. Maybe that is the reason. So I think at elementary stage and the middle school age, the interest should be there. The teachers' priority should be to make the lessons, STEM lessons, interested, so that the student is interested in those subjects. So this should be beneficial to them when they enter the job market, and in turn, it should benefit the greater economy of the country. So at middle school level, STEM education provide value by helping children to see themselves as critical thinkers and problem solvers. So both skills that have countless applications. Everybody, every educator, every principal want to develop these skills in their students. So students define problems, design solutions, and experiment to see the application of the solution. So middle school STEM courses become increasingly complex as students' intellectual capacity continues to grow. So during this phase, the educational process also emphasizes encouraging students from groups underrepresented in STEM fields. As I told you, the girls, women, how many women are there in the STEM field? So to learn about these careers, additionally, student becomes familiar with the requirements of STEM related careers. What kind of careers are ahead of them? So these can be taught in the middle school age. So already Kajal ma'am has given so many examples. Ma'am has given middle school example, 9, 10 graders example. So That is the way the STEM can be infused. And one more thing, I just remember one of the project in which children had made an app to dispose the medicines. Every house has these medicines which are of expiry date. How we dispose them? We just throw them in the dustbin. But that is not the way. That is a chemical which we are throwing in the dustbin. Or we can say the other medical products, use sanitary pads, how to dispose them. These are all problems which are not even identified yet. And children work on these problems, and aware the unpublished group of people, and even the people who are, the rich part of the society, they do not know how to do these things. So these problems, they identify, then find solutions and circulate it, and they experiment with the prototypes. Okay, this is not working, let's do it again. So the design thinking comes into picture. The backward designs come into picture. So these are the things which can be done at the middle age level.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next question is for Ritu, ma'am. What is the role of STEM education at high school age? Ritu, ma'am.
Yes, what Kajal ma'am have explained and shared her information and, her experience with pre-primary children and at primary level. And then Nisha ma'am, giving us in detail about the middle school. It has made the base for me, frankly telling, because it's what when we are talking about STEM, of course, STEM is important because it pervades every part of our lives. When we talk about science, it is everywhere around us. When we are talking about technology is continuously growing. It is growing every time, every minute we'll find a change, an upgradation. So it is growing. And when we talk about engineering is nothing but about, just related with, say, for construction of bridges or roads, or about making our life more comfortable with, environment friendly goods at home, or to tackle challenges of the environment. Whatever it is, it's just not about that, but more than it. And when we are talking about maths, of course, it is in every occupation, every transaction, what we do, every activity we do, it involves mathematics. So it's about, when we say it is about STEM. Now, when we are talking about high school students, when they have started thinking about their career, about the areas of interest, or where they are going to be successful in their life, the scientific aptitude is extremely important there. So when in middle school, if it is created, it really helps the child to think more clearly about his future. And when I say about children or about childhood, it's a very, very, common saying that inquisitive thy nature is childhood. So inquisitiveness and childhood, it's all together. So when ma'am was talking about, we need to keep the curiosity being burning in the child. It has to be there. We should not, let that fire which is there to make it, wipe out. No, we have to ignite that fire of curiosity. And Nisha ma'am have very rightly said about that. So I will say that it is very, very important to develop that scientific aptitude, develop that passion and interest. So the STEM approach in our education system is what it is needed. And when ma'am was saying about development, about growth of an economy, yes, when we are, envisioning that India will be the global leader, it is not possible without this STEM, without this inculcation of these things among the children. Because, I am from economics field. So I will say that India is more of a trading economy. India is actually having such a huge market that if we talk about US, if we talk about China or other countries, they have developed or they are leading, and a major contribution is by Indian market, because whatever product they are producing, they know the market is here in India. And when our respected Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when he had envisaged this and initiated this program called as Make in India, which is extremely important for our growth. It is needed because in our country, products of all the brands which are there in the world is available, but the assembling is only done here, but just or otherwise the import of that product is done. Manufacturing is not happening. And for that, we need to generate that aptitude where children are actually thinking of doing that. And it is, that small project, what ma'am have just said, are extremely important to keep that curiosity fire ignited in them. Then they will be, taken as inventors, as innovators, and they can be entrepreneurs as well. So it is very important for us, and for high school children, yes, it's extremely important, because right now our education system nurtures about for white collar jobs. No, we need to have innovators who are, have developed that thinking of research, and for that, this STEM is extremely important. It is because STEM does not only provide hands-on lessons, it also provides minds-on lesson. It gives them this thinking of creativity, and it is really very, very important when both they develop that interest, when they know that learning of science and math is a fun. So when we talk about this for high school children, and I have seen them enjoying in the labs. In our school, we are having very good infrastructure for science, math, and computer laboratories. Math lab is worth seeing. Even the furniture, like the tables, and this is just defining about different shapes of math, and everything there where children can actually learn about how to integrate it with real life situation. So I have seen the excitement among the students when they are going to the labs. So experiments and experience are extremely important, and that is helping. And Nisha ma'am was telling about women doing well. Yes, STEM actually bridge the gap between gender also. Ethnic gap and gender gap is bridged by STEM. And yes, if we are giving that experience to girls, they will also do well in the STEM field. They will also take up this. So for India to be a global leader, STEM is the solution for it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for your inputs. Next question is for Kajal, ma'am. What does a lesson or unit look like when STEM is infused?
Is a little technical glitch. Yes, aspects are already being covered. And yeah, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
So I said lot many aspects are already being covered, but still I have few more points to add to it, that how do the lesson plan looks like when the STEM curriculum is infused right from the foundational years. And this then and we always say that if it is not involved right from the foundational stage, it will be a disaster involving this right to higher grades. As even NEP says, if we have read the NEP, the conclusion of NEP is done this way, that if the NEP aspects are if we start right from the foundational stages, then we'll say we can envision the actual meaning of this document. Automatically it will be transformed from one stage to another. So similarly, giving life to the live examples which I have shared, each and every lesson, even it can be integrated with art, it can be integrated with social studies, math, it can be integrated with all the concepts which are taught right from the foundational stage. I'll give you an example. As Nisha ma'am rightly said, and even Ritu ma'am addressed it, that there is a lot of conditioning in our curriculum. When we say A, what comes to your mind? When we say A as in, you get that I am already wearing the A letter color, right? So there is a lot of conditioning involved. So once we break the myth, once we stop that conditioning, that A stands for much more. A has got lot many other ways and how to form A. For example, if I'll give you the dust, the Rangoli dust which is there, I can spread on the ground. If I tell them to use their finger and draw the A pattern. If I give them a clay dough, natural out of atta, and I mix color and I tell them to make A letter, don't you think is the beginning of making a product? It could be like there is so much of meaning involved to it, isn't it? So this is the way when we talk about numbers, can we have a little puzzle on the floor reaching from 1 to 100, which we might have seen. Like there are so many innovative ways our teachers are keep pondering, and they keep coming up with so many different methods, right? Now coming, this is for the foundational stages. Now coming to 3 to 5. For example, I have given them a set of, I love, doing a lot of creativity in the classroom. I give them 4, for example, I have given them, 4 materials. Wheels are there, wooden pieces there, and then there are the strings are there, rubber bands are there. Then I tell them, okay, make a cartwheel out of it. And I tell them, I have not given any steps. Use your brain and your thought process, make a cartwheel out of just 4 elements, like material which is told to them. Wood pieces, either it could be any sticks which are available, 3 to 4 wheels, or even the cap, this cap of a bottle, and the elastic, the rubber band, right? And I tell them, make, jao 30 minutes ke baad aa jao, make 5, group of 5, or maybe just involve your mummy, papa, whosoever is available. Trust me, like I have seen the results, they have amazed us. And with the help of those elastic, they show us the speed. Then from there we can talk about all the different science aspects, the force, speed, everything comes into place with these small little experiments. And now coming to the middle age, 6 to 8, and then going to 9 to 12. These all theorems which are there, which are so boring and has no algorithm and all, until and unless they actually do it by their hands, it has got no meaning and they forget. But when they do it, when they apply this force, speed, they will never forget. As you were saying, that how much a water balloon can hold, right? Even bringing that weighing machine, like if there's a balloon where there is no water and there is a balloon where there is a water, what will happen? So live examples, these, through this way we can have, these little STEM based projects, we can have it. And of course, see, every time if we do activity, we involve hands-on, we have to look at, we as leaders, we have to look into portion completion also, right? Otherwise parents are going to say सारा दिन activity होता है, पढ़ाई तो कुछ होती नहीं है. So we have to balance it out. How many activities per concept, per chapter? So that's what I said. To start with, involve one activity per chapter, more than enough to bring that curiosity. So children will wait for that chapter. And in CBSE, we have subject enrichment activities. We have art integration. So we all are doing wonders in our own domain. And this is how these examples, when we talk, then there is no pause. So इसीलिए I'm with respect that I have such great leaders like Ritu ma'am and Nisha ma'am. Sorry अगर मैंने कुछ गलत quote किया. And Sushil sir, of course, he's doing such wonderful job. He's bringing thought leaders, and he day in, day out, he's involved. He's into blog and what not. So great mentors.
The biggest
This
thing,
platform is really great.
the biggest thing what I am getting in free is Gyan. Right? So I am also getting.
So that is something no one can take it away, na? Hai na?
Right,
It's once you get it, you can lock into it and
Yes.
spread.
And another question for everyone, whoever want to speak, what are the current practices of implementing STEM education in your school?
May I? And then we can pass it on.
Yes, yes.
See, sorry, as I am getting late also, sorry, but I'll address this quickly. Now I'll tell you how we, infuse STEM. So along with these experiments, what I just addressed, we are doing it in our school. Apart from this, what we do every year, we come up with futuristic expo. You must come whenever you get time. Like we come up with this concept where right from grade 1 to grade 12, we come up with a common, topic. Like last year, we did it on how envision education system, online education system. And trust me, like children, we were getting goosebumps. How they did augmented reality in education, they did AI in education. I don't know from where they learned the topic and from where they googled, and they learned on their own. And every grade we allowed them to present their project. And little children, they even came up with their ID cards, online ID cards. You just show it, and that the ID card will be detected and attendance will be taken. It's like, for teachers, it's like, you can say the task is solved. Otherwise, teacher in the beginning, teacher had to take roll number 1, roll number 2, roll number 3. So they came up with online ID card. They came up with online digital school diary. So this is what our students, were presenting it. And even they came up with common online digital background. So can you imagine children talking about all this? Well, this is how I think we should have one, annual project for the children on the common topic. Then you see what amazing thoughts, and it will become like a Gyan Manthan. Yes.
Next, Nisha ma'am.
Yeah, it reminds me of Innovation Mela. We call it Innovation Mela in our school. So different themes, sometimes sustainability goals are, included with STEM. So climate change and carbon footprints and how we can reduce them. How can we implement the 6 R's into our system, and and come up with the apps. One of the student, they come up with the app of pooling the car. Nowadays it is a system, but at that time now the student has created an app which will give an alert to all the parents that this car is going through this area. So if you want to pull in, you can come with us and you can return home in the same car. Otherwise, on the parents' day, every parent is bringing their own vehicles to the school. So how much carbon emission we are doing there? How much this to planet Earth, what we are doing. So these kind of innovations come into practice when we infuse STEM into our system. And the bigger picture is the project-based learning. So the project-based learning, it is not a matter of one class only. The projects, it takes 3 to 4 months, sometimes a year's time. So give that time to children to think about it, to design the planning. There is a planning session, then there is implementing session, and designing session. So give that time to the students. And as Kajal ma'am said, that start with one activity. It is not a big deal. So I think there is no need of STEM lab to begin with. You can infuse it in your own classes. Okay, you just these teachers of science, technology, engineering, and maths, they can come together and then they design a unit. They can design several activities in a unit only. So maybe on every Saturday you can do that, and only one unit for 6 months. You can say we can go ahead with that. So these kind of things have been done in our school to implement STEM and to introduce STEM. There was no STEM lab. It came very late, when teachers were enough mature to understand the material, how to handle it. And the kids, everywhere nowadays, every second person is selling the STEM kits. Then firstly, we have to understand, do we need it? Or how we can create STEM environment in the school? How can we infuse the STEM curriculum in the school with the limited resources? That is the sustainability in itself. Yes, Ritu ma'am, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So very well explained, ma'am, and what all you have been doing, it's commendable to say. And, in our school, it's from the lower classes. When Kajal ma'am was telling about pre-primary students, how they are making their product in our school also on similar grounds they are doing. Like in primary classes, with this online, it has been a kind of, blessings in disguise, where now children are using their home resources to understand various concepts. And it is becoming very easy. Why? Because sometimes the teachers are telling them, go and get these things from the kitchen, go and get these. So it's there. Now, no student will say that, ma'am, these things I have forgotten to bring. No. And they are using home resources to work on the learning of concepts through experiments and hands-on experience. It is really helping. But otherwise, like every year, we are having our science exhibition named as Eccentricity. And, the topics are the theme. We just give a theme, and it's about these children who come up with their projects. There are many a times working models, which we are amazed. We are actually surprised to see how these children are doing. They have made, I remember last time, they have made the working vacuum cleaner, and about the various other to study about the structure of molecule. They had used milk and all. So I was actually surprised how these children are doing. They have made project on solar energy, and that giving of the project is one thing, but when they have made, I could realize that these children have started thinking. They have started thinking, and they will surely try to do something which will make them innovators. So these things are extremely important. And, we have given a small science kit to each child from class 6 onwards, their own science kit. And in that, like they can do experiments, they can do whatever is there, most of the topics, the concepts which are there in their curriculum related to that, they can make that product, they can make it a kind of project. So that is really helping us. But yes, Nisha ma'am, when you were talking about Atal Tinkering Lab, or as such a STEM lab, we do not have a separate this thing, but with these subject labs, and when we are talking about our children visiting the labs and the excitement, the enthusiasm, what they are showing, it is really helping me to understand the importance of experiential learning for them. So that's.
I think the one thing which needs I want to add is the fear of failure. I think that is the one thing which always there in teachers and in the students too. So STEM is not about always success.
Exactly.
Let them fail. They will learn again and again and again, and finally they will be successful. So this kind of attitude is very much required for all these, combined projects or annual projects which we talk about, the conferences or the melas. All these things are required, that we instill this kind of attitude into that failure is just a part of learning. It's not end. So I think that is required.
Really, that is needed actually. In most of the time, even in practical life, most of the time, people generally they scared of. They always feel insecurity in taking any new kind of step. That's the main.
Coming out
Even
of comfort zone that is required.
Yes,
Coming out
yes,
of
yes.
comfort zones.
I will add here, like even sports in that way. Sports actually help the child to learn how after failing, they again have to get up and go. So that is also one thing where I feel, and yes, ma'am, with their experience in this, they surely learn this also.
Ritu ma'am, next question is again for you. What are the challenges of implementing STEM education?
Sir, as I was just telling about for our country, that we are visualizing India as a global leader. It's of high importance to increase STEM in order to spark an interest in these conceptual learning. That STEM is extremely important. And when we are talking about the labs or experiential learning, it is a step towards that only. But when we talk about the success of STEM, I want to mention here that education is a partnership between the school and the parents, where our center of interest is the child, because we want the best for the child. Now, when we talk about the implementation of STEM, it cannot be just the responsibility, the whole soul responsibility of school. Here, parents also need to encourage their child to work on it, because as I was telling you about using home resources for doing experiments and all. So if the parents are not supporting, the curiosity of the child will die there, then and there only. And it is well experienced in this. And when we are talking about this implementation, sir, first of all, I want to say that the success of STEM depends on the teachers, because teachers play a very vital role in this. Their belief, their knowledge, their expertise in this will make the program a success. other than this, I will say that, lack of sufficient material supply or the space, which we feel as a constraint in many schools, or about when, if I say about availability of well-equipped labs is not there, that also can be one of the challenge, because the classrooms in India especially are cramped, in many cases. Of course, it's really good that CBSE has limited the number of students for each section to be 40. But I have seen for state board schools, that per section, the class strength goes to 75 also, 75 and 80. So when we are talking about 80 students being accommodated in a lab, it's not possible. So unavailability of a well-equipped lab, that is one of the challenge. Then the systematic working, that lack of systematic working again is the challenge what we are facing. And then, of course, when we talk about the comfort zone, the teachers are having, I'll not say all the teachers, but in quite a few cases, they are always under the pressure of completing syllabus. That if I'm not able to complete my syllabus, then what? Why? Because our education system gives importance to examination, to assessment like this. So that feeling that if I am not able to make my student score good marks, if I am not able to complete what is there in the textbook given, that feeling is always there in the mind of teachers. So to come out of that comfort zone is again one of the challenge what we are facing. And of course, for implementing STEM, it's very important that the school gives proper training to the teachers. Then only they will be confident enough, to shift to that. That is, I feel. And, if we are having proper guidance, professional guidance, and availability of resources, it can be overcome, because these challenges are actually not important. They are not vital challenges to say. It's not that we cannot overcome that. Of course we can. Because, that experiments and all, those activities are not that we require lots and lots of funds. No. And as ma'am had said, that government agencies are there to help us. Like say, if I talk about Atal Tinkering Lab, CBSE gives 2 lakh rupees. If I am not wrong, Nisha ma'am, it gives 2 lakh rupees to the school. We need only that space. We have to complete certain formalities, and we need to have the space what they have prescribed, and CBSE will give us 2 lakh rupees to equip that lab where children can actually experience this. So this is what I feel.
I think, ma'am, the biggest challenge in India for STEM is there are no STEM standards. We know there are grants. We know the government is supporting us. We know we can manage the space in the school. We can bring in curriculum. Everything can be done. But if there will be no standards, like if you are teaching mathematics to grade 7 or 8 or 3 or 4, there are norms. There is a syllabus. There are standards to follow. But in STEM, there is no hand-holding. Only mere giving the money or providing the space is not sufficient. There should be proper training. That is the real challenge. I think there should be standards for STEM, first of all, in place. That what do you want to make students in future? Why there is a STEM education which is needed? What skills teachers need to conduct that lab? What is expected? Every grade, what is expected from the STEM education? So those standards when will be in place, I think everything will fall in place.
Great, ma'am. Thanks for this. And one last question is from Nisha, ma'am. What are the major misconceptions about STEM education? Ma'am, you are muted.
Yeah, I'm on mute now. So misconceptions, there are, when I talk about STEM education, people have many misconceptions. The first thing is that like we already discussed, that it is, I think, expensive thing, expensive improvement or something. It requires science equipment or economics. Economics comes in that our budget will be not in place. So every school asks that there should be some grants or something, but I think STEM is easy to implement. As Kajal ma'am already suggested, that giving those bottle caps or giving your rubber bands, and you can see STEM happening in your classroom. No heavy equipments or expensive things are required to include STEM into your curriculum. So this is the biggest misconception. Secondly, that technology, when you're infusing technology into something, so you need to buy more computers for school or students, you need more equipment. That is absurd, not required. Whatever you have will work. No need of some additional things there. So this is the biggest misconception, which it always stops you in implementing STEM education in the school. So the other misconception, which I think, is that all STEM educated students will be forced to choose technical fields because they do not have liberal arts foundation, which is again wrong. STEM provides you tool to be successful. They create critical thinkers, innovators. It creates higher order thinking skills. So it is a tool set which is given by the STEM education. It doesn't mean that you have to pursue maths career in your future or science or technology career. It is not like that. If you want to pursue a career in economics, say about geography or anything, so STEM provides you tools for that. It creates that thinking environment between you and your teachers within your limits. So that is important to understand, that STEM doesn't mean that that it is preparing you for the STEM fields only. So this is one misconception which I generally hear. And principals or the parents, even when we talk about STEM, they say, no, he doesn't have, my child doesn't have interest in science, doesn't have interest in maths, so she's interested in music. So STEM can be done with music too. We can infuse any subject, as Kajal ma'am said, the social studies. So STEM is not that we will be preparing you for science, technology, engineering, or maths only. So that is why the next step scheme comes, the infusion of art. Then the next stream comes, the infusion of reading abilities. Many schools, when they are successfully implementing the STEM, the base, they are infusing art into it. And then art doesn't mean that we are just making design or something. Art in itself is a thinking process. Then the stream comes, the reading abilities, how to make students according to their Lexile scores, how to improve their Lexile scores in reading. So the stream comes in. So it is not only about the science, technology, engineering, and maths. That this is the one misconception. So STEAM addresses only workforce issues. No, it is not like that. That in the coming 10 years or 20 years down the line, we will prepare you only for the jobs. No, it is for every kind of job. And science and math teachers do not require any training for implementing STEM education. This is the biggest misconception. I think they need training. The training is required on not in their subject, but the training is required how to integrate subjects, how to integrate the 4 subjects into one unit or a one activity which covers all these 4 subjects. That training is required. So pedagogical knowledge, pedagogical training along with their own subject knowledge can create wonders in STEM education. And the school needs STEM kits provided by various vendors to start STEM education in their school. This is again wrong. You do not need STEM kits to start STEM education in your school. Smaller things can create bigger things. Smaller things can create wonders. So these are the, I think, some misconceptions which needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Nisha. I think you have already, this panel has already given extensive information about STEMs. But if someone wants to take any extra information, they can contact us on the given number, which we will be providing. And our next part 2 on this STEM is going to be held on November 19th. That is on Friday at 4 p.m. Thank you so much, Nisha ma'am and Ritu ma'am, for giving your valuable time with such a lot of patience and such an extensive information. Thank a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.